Okay, so you know how you sent us that stuff about Enviroshake?
Uh-huh.
Basically, we want to find out what makes their roofing materials so special
Okay.
and like why people are choosing them, especially for these big international projects.
Gotcha.
So we're going to see if they actually live up to the hype. And the documents you sent us show their work on all kinds of properties all over the globe. So right off the bat, what's kind of cool is that Enviroshake has been around since 1998.
That's a while.
Yeah, and they've been focused on this one specific thing, making composite roofing that looks exactly like natural cedar shake and slate.
So like that classic look.
Exactly. But they're using this modern engineered approach. And, being in business for over 20 years tells you they've got a pretty solid product.
Yeah, for sure.
And that they've probably learned a ton about what works, especially in places with, crazy weather.
Right.
But what really impressed me was their list of notable projects. It's not just like a few here and there, it's global.
Wow.
We're talking Government House in Antigua,
Okay.
and the Nassau Parliament Square, buildings in the Bahamas. And then you've got these luxury resorts like Sandy Lane in Barbados,
Nice.
and Peter Island Resort, and Spa in the British Virgin Islands.
Fancy.
And it goes on and on.
Like where else?
Iberostar Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic,
Hmm.
Danuku in the Naviti Resort in Fiji.
Fiji.
Yeah, a bunch of sandals resorts across the Caribbean.
Wow, they're everywhere.
So when you see all these different projects in these different places, it starts to make sense why this kind of product would be so popular.
I can see that.
A lot of these locations have to deal with some pretty serious weather challenges.
Like hurricanes and stuff.
Exactly. Hurricanes, strong winds, intense sun exposure. But they also need to maintain a certain look. And it's not just resorts either.
No.
Nope. You've got private residences in the Trial Club in Jamaica,
Okay.
the Amanpulo Resort in the Philippines.
I've heard of that
It's
place.
super exclusive. And the Four Seasons in the Seychelles, plus more in St. Lucia like L'Esport Body Holiday and Sugar Beach.
So it's like a mix of everything.
It is different types of properties all over the world with different climates.
That's pretty impressive.
So, with all this international use, we have to look at their claims about durability and weather resistance.
Right. Because it's one thing to say it's tough.
Exactly. But it's another thing to actually see it holding up in places that get hit with some of the worst weather on the planet.
Yeah, that's a real test.
And they've got these industry-leading third-party ratings that really emphasize that.
Like what kind of ratings?
Well, they talk about Miami-Dade wind approval. It's a really tough standard for building materials to meet, especially in hurricane zones.
So what does it involve?
They have to withstand high winds impact from flying debris and resist water intrusion under extreme pressure.
Sounds intense.
It's basically designed to simulate a real hurricane.
Wow.
And then they say their product has actually proven its ability to withstand Category 5 hurricanes.
The strongest ones.
Exactly. That's not just marketing talk. That's serious resilience.
No kidding.
And then you've got their fire ratings. They've got Class A and Class C fire ratings. Class C fire ratings is standard for most residential areas. Class A is required in some areas with a high fire risk. So it's excellent protection.
That's good.
And we can't forget about the impact rating.
Impact rating.
Yeah, it's how well the roof can withstand impacts from things like hail or debris.
Oh, okay.
They've got a Class 4 impact rating, which is the highest one you can get.
So that means it can handle some serious hits.
Yep, even golf ball-sized hail without getting messed up.
That's tough.
It is. So all these ratings show you it's a really robust product.
For sure.
But for me, it's the real-world stories that are the most convincing. They've got this guy, Bruce Griffin, in the Bahamas, and his family estate has Enviroshake roofs. And those roofs have been through 4 major hurricanes and 6 named storms. And get this, he hasn't lost a single shingle.
You're kidding.
I know, it's mind-blowing. And he even said, quote, "The product is everything and more they promise it to be," end quote.
Wow. Coming from someone who's actually been through those storms, that means a lot.
It does. And he also mentioned how good it looks, how well it works for collecting rainwater, and how great their customer service is.
So he's like a super satisfied customer.
Totally. And then there's his architect in the British Virgin Islands named John Osmond. And he saw Enviroshake roofs hold up during hurricanes Irma and Maria.
Those were devastating storms.
They were super intense. He said he had wind gusts up to 200 miles per hour at his own house. He just said, quote, "difficult to deal with that," end quote.
Yeah, no kidding.
So basically, if Enviroshake can survive those kinds of winds, it's got to be super durable.
Yeah, that's not even a question.
I know, it's amazing. And these aren't just controlled tests in the lab.
Right? It's real life.
Exactly. Real-life trials and some of the most extreme weather you can imagine.
It makes you wonder how other roofs in those areas fared.
For sure. Okay, so we've established this stuff is tough, especially in crazy climate. But they also talk about potential energy savings.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It is huge for property owners, saving money and helping the environment.
Exactly.
They mention this Envirocool roof concept.
Envirocool roof.
Yeah, and they say it can cut cooling costs by up to 30%.
Seriously?
Yep, according to the Cool Roof Rating Council.
That's a big deal.
It is, and it's a win-win situation.
How so?
Property owners save money on their energy bills.
Right.
And we all benefit from reduced carbon emissions because they're using less electricity from fossil fuels.
I like it.
And the technology behind it is pretty cool.
What do they do?
It's not just a reflective surface. They actually have this engineered underside air pocket design.
An air pocket.
Yeah, it helps minimize the transfer of heat to the roof deck.
So like insulation?
Exactly. They say it's at least 8% less heat transfer than cedar.
That's smart.
It is, imagine like little channels or raised sections on the underside of the roofing material, creating a gap between the Enviroshake and the roof deck.
I see.
And that trapped air acts as an insulator.
Makes sense.
And they may also use reflective pigments in the material itself to reduce heat absorption even more.
Wow, they've thought of everything.
And we have another great story here from Andrew Sterling at Planet Bahamas.
What's his story?
He says his house stays so cool with the Enviroshake white slate that he needs to wear socks on his tile floors.
No way.
I know it's that cool, and his AC bills are always under $100, sometimes even less than $80.
That's crazy low.
It is, especially considering how much he uses his AC.
Right.
And he says it's all thanks to the Enviroshake.
That's amazing.
It's a real-world example of those energy savings in action.
It definitely is. When you see someone saving that much money, it really shows how effective the Envirocool design is.
And it's not just about the money, it's about the environment too.
Totally.
Okay, so now let's talk about their commitment to sustainability.
Sustainability is huge these days.
Everyone's focused on eco-conscious building.
For sure.
And what's really interesting is what their composite blend is made of.
What is it?
It's 95% post-industrial plastics, recycled elastomers, and natural wood fibers.
Wow, that's a lot of recycled content.
It is, which makes it way more environmentally friendly than traditional roofing material.
Right. Those usually use all new material.
Exactly. And the fact that their products are 100% recyclable is awesome.
It is. It's a step towards a more circular economy.
Exactly. We're not just using things and throwing them away.
Right.
Okay. But now for the really surprising part.
What's that?
The water runoff from the roofs is potable.
What? I've never heard of that before.
I know, it's wild. You wouldn't think about drinking water that ran off a roof.
Definitely not.
But they've had it tested by third parties, and it meets the World Health Organization's standards for drinking water.
Yes.
So you can see why they're so popular for international projects.
Absolutely.
They've got durability, cost savings, and environmental responsibility all in one.
The perfect combo.
It is. It really makes you think.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
It is. It encourages you to look beyond the surface and see the potential for innovation everywhere.
I agree.
So hopefully this deep dive has given you some really valuable insights into Enviroshake.
Definitely.
It's a fascinating company with a lot to offer.
For sure.
It was a pleasure diving into it.
Same here.